Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low dose naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. This show is sponsored by our members who made donations. We'd like to give them a very big thank you. We have to cover the monthly costs of the radio station's software, bandwidth, phone lines and phone calls to be able to continue with the radio show. And thank you for listening. Today we're joined by Cameon from the United States, who takes LDN for multiple sclerosis. Thank you for joining us today, Cameon.
Thank you for having me.
So could you tell us, what was your life like before MS?
Oh my. Before MS, I guess it was what you would call normal. I was working and able to do anything I wanted.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, isn't it? When you have what you've just described as a normal life and you can do whatever you want to do, you don't appreciate it that you can do everything you want to do until you can't do it. It's then noticeable, isn't it?
Oh, very noticeable.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started to get your MS symptoms?
Oh, I think I was about 49 or 50.
Mm-hmm. That's quite late, isn't it, really, for an MS diagnosis? Had you been having problems prior to the diagnosis?
Well, I think the first thing that was MS, and I didn't know it at the time, was numbness in my feet. I had gone to the chiropractor and I did the exercises and things that she suggested and it seemed to get better, but then it went downhill.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think that was MS, just unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was having balance and walking difficulties. So I went to a neurologist and had an MRI and was told it was probably MS.
Mm-hmm. So at that time, you said you had balance and walking problems and you still had the numbness, did you, or had that gone by then?
It's gotten a little better, but I still have it.
Okay. So did you have problems at the time of diagnosis with, say, fatigue, bladder problems, cognitive problems? Did you have any of those symptoms?
Not at the time of diagnosis. I've had some bladder issues since.
Mm-hmm.
And I have balance issues, slurred speech, obviously. I got spasticity or rigidity in my legs.
Mm-hmm.
Internal shakiness, man, that was a biggie. So walking was very difficult. I was a wall hugger.
Yes.
And what I have since learned was something called Lehermites, and I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but when you look down,
Oh yes, electric shocks down your hands to your fingers.
Oh yeah,
in your
I
arms.
had.
That's horrible.
I think
I had
I
that.
tried what my life was like as living in a hardware store paint shaker on a moving merry-go-round, watching an old-time movie on a jello floor. That's why.
Before you started LDN, could you rate your quality of life on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best?
No, probably a 4.
So, how did you hear about LDN?
Well, being in the chair, I'm on the computer a lot, and I came across it through Facebook, and I was very impressed, and it kind of piqued my interest because of the success stories I read and the number of conditions, and there were no adverse side effects. That was a biggie because I've never taken any medicine for my MS because of the side effects they had. LDN really didn't have any, and the patient can control that to a degree. It's a very versatile medicine. It comes in many, many different forms, and the dosage varies. And that's all patient controlled.
Yes, it is.
I can't think of nothing that gives the patient that much say.
And how long ago was it when you found out about LDN?
Oh, I've been on it for 10 months.
Right. Okay. And what did you notice when you first started? Did you get any introductory side effects?
I had some. I started it in September of last year, and I was very nervous and anxious, and I kept a journal, and I very strongly advise that. The first filler was Advil, and that caused headaches and stomach aches and joint pains. So I had that changed. Another patient-controlled item. I had that changed to ginger, and those problems went away.
That's fantastic.
I started dosing at night, and after taking medicine, within 30 minutes, I would experience hot flashes. And many nights I had insomnia. So I switched over to morning. Another patient-controlled issue. But I still had hot flashes. Sleeping was better. But then I switched, and now I take it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sleeping is good, and hot flashes are gone. It's just a matter of remembering to take it.
So, What would you say LDN has done for you? What does it help with?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's helped with my strength. I'm much stronger than I ever was before LDN.
Mm-hmm.
And my balance has improved significantly. Energy, fine motor skills, which I did not expect. I can fasten my own necklace, which I couldn't do before. Such a simple thing that means so much.
And what about the tremors and that? Are they a lot better?
I'm sorry, can you say it?
The tremors that you had in your body, have they calmed down?
Oh yeah, it's improved. I'm able to stand longer. I feel more secure. Falls have significantly decreased hip falling. Gosh.
And what about oh goodness, what was it you said? Your bladder control. Is that any better?
Oh yeah, that is almost a non-issue now.
Well, that's good. I have to say it took me 18 months to carry on improving. So you've been on it 10 months. You know, you might find you'll improve even further. And that is why it's good to keep a diary, because you forget, you know, how things improve. So it's a good way of...
There was a time when it appeared that LDN wasn't doing anything anymore. Like it had quit working.
Mm-hmm.
And I had read that sometimes you skip a dose to reset the receptors. So I did that. And it works for some people, and some people it's not good for. Well, I was one that was not. I experienced like a regression. I went back
That's scary,
and not
isn't it?
forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't be doing that again.
You've learned your lesson.
The strange thing was, even though I had that experience, after I skipped is when I started walking.
Oh.
So
How easy was it to get a prescription? Did your own doctor prescribe it for you?
well, I prayed long and hard about it, and I went to my just regular family doctor and was going to ask for it, but I had intentions of asking for a referral to a neurologist in the event that he wouldn't prescribe it for me. Well, it ended up that he had known about naltrexone through his addiction group, that high dose. So he didn't have an issue with the low dose because he knew what the high dose would do.
Yes.
So he prescribed it for me, thank goodness.
Wonderful. So you said that you were nervous before you started. So for our listeners out there who have MS, who would like to try LDN but maybe a bit scared of starting like you were, what would you say to them?
Oh, I have two words for anybody who is very hesitant either to take it or even to prescribe it. 2 words: don't wait.
Well, that's just how I feel. I think that's being a fellow MS patient, I hear what you're saying and understand where you're coming from. Before we finish, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, the only thing I would add is you have to be patient with it. And if something isn't working, experiment a little bit and see what does work. It's definitely worth it, because I went from wheelchair to walking. Granted, I don't walk everywhere.
Really? How far can you walk?
Oh my. Just last Thursday, I went to the chiropractor, and I have an upright walker. And I walked from the waiting room into the exam room, which is probably 60 to 100 feet.
A fair way.
And for somebody that's been in a chair for the better part of 7 years, that is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find your muscles, having been in a wheelchair for so long? Did you have physiotherapy on your legs? Are you doing exercises now to strengthen them?
I do self-therapy, self-exercises,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm somewhat consistent. I'll admit I don't do them daily, but I do exercises. I have leg weights that I put on occasionally. I do transfer, like, to my bed or to the restroom,
Mm-hmm.
and I have grab bars, and I have gone using both grab bars to only using one grab bar.
Wow.
So that improved.
Mm-hmm. Well, anybody who is in a wheelchair who's not weight bearing, which means you can't put yourself on the toilet or into bed. A lot of people have to be hoisted, but even just to be able to stand, to actually stand from the wheelchair and turn to sit on the bed or on the toilet is life changing, isn't it? Just to be able to do that.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be.
Mm.
I've not had to be hoisted, but even to not use grab bars would be life-changing.
Yes.
There are so many places you cannot go, because even though it says handicap accessible, they've not been in a chair.
Mm-hmm. I can remember I was taking my parents out for a meal, and I phoned up the restaurant, and we call it disabled access. So I asked if they had disabled access, and they said yes, and they had a disabled toilet, and it all sounded fine. So I got there, and in the car park, I was looking for the lowered curb to push my father in, and all the curbs were 18 inches high. So you couldn't tip him back to lift the wheelchair that high. It just didn't do it. So I went inside and I said, I had called to ask if it was, wheelchair friendly, and you assured me it was, and you had the disabled toilet and everything. But how do I get in from the road? She said, oh, well, can't he get out? And walk up it, No, he's in a wheelchair, he can't stand. And one of the workers outside said, disabled people are always having that problem and they should get a ramp so you could, push it up. But they told me inside that once you get inside, it's all wheelchair friendly. But if you can't get in the first place, it's irrelevant. That was so annoying. So we had to just leave it.
Good. You get that.
Yes. So it is difficult to find places that you can go in a wheelchair. So being able to use a walker, I would imagine, has been life-changing for you too.
Oh, yeah. It feels so good
Mm-hmm.
to be able just to stand up.
Yes. Well,
Get up to your backside.
thank you very much for having been our guest today, Cameron. I really appreciate it. Or Cameon, sorry.
Well, my hope is that people who have not only MS, but any ailment will take the plunge. Don't wait. Take LDN. Give it time and see what it does.
Thank you.
Kind of compassionately. So,
Okay.
what got to
This show is sponsored by our members who made donations. We'd like to give them a very big thank you. We have to cover the monthly costs of the radio station's software, bandwidth, phone lines and phone calls to be able to continue with the radio show. And thank you for listening. Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.